time. And when and it doesn't really matter if it's like a reckoning day type experience, or even if it's just a challenge that's coming up, and you're wanting a different perspective on it, you want to make sure that you really understand the nature of the challenge and how best to take action. There's a process from design thinking called state the problem. And I'm going to walk you through it's a question set that helps you get clear on exactly what you're dealing with, what's the nature of the problem. And the beauty of it is it really relies that you already know. You already know so much about it. So there's 4 questions. And the first of the 4 questions is what's working. So call up any challenge issue. It can be personal, it can be relational, it can be familial, it can be with career, with dharma, it can be with a particular project or relationship, anything. Just pull up a problem right now and walk through this with me. And you'll need to press pause at times, and you're just trying to get this pattern of thinking, this process of thinking in your repertoire of skills. So the first question is what is working. What I love about this question is it's life positive. Sometimes, especially when we're in the throes of it, when we're in a reckoning day type scenario, when it's like the proverbial shit is hitting the fan, it can be overwhelming, and we can really go right to the second question naturally, which is what is not working. And with this design thinking formula, you never start there. You always start here with number 1 before you go to number 2. And what is not working is usually the stuff that's on our mind. Sometimes it's on our conscious mind, sometimes it's on our subconscious mind. I often find for me it's the stuff that wakes me up in the middle of the night is what is not working. But that's not where we start. We start with working, what is working. So right now in regard to the current challenge that you've presenced, and if you haven't presenced it yet, press pause and write down whatever it is that you're working on. Maybe it's a particular project, maybe it's a particular way that, a particular challenge that's arisen within a project. Bring that up and then press play again. Okay, now you've got that. Now, regarding that, what's working? What are some positive things that are actually working? And can you bullet those out? And it might be a list 20 bullets long. And sometimes it can be a stretch, and you have to really, what the yogis call, see the Shri. I'm going to write that down here because it's such a powerful concept where we actually look for the beauty, we look for the good, we look for the truth. We look for the life positive aspect. And what this does is it bolsters us to be able to then look next to what's not working. It bolsters our experience of like, okay, I can be open, I can be receptive, I cannot be overwhelmed by the nature of what's not working. Because at times, especially if we're in a reckoning day type scenario, it can just be too overwhelming. We can just actually just get totally depressed and shut down by all the stuff that's not working, and we can give up. So we don't want to go there. We want to start with, hey, first and foremost, like you're breathing, you're here with us, you have all these things that are really, really working for you to then be able to turn your attention towards what's not working. So after you have what's working down, you can maybe even highlight a few of these, and you might notice like, ooh, this is a big one here, and maybe this one synergizes with that, and there's a way of stating it and restating it. And this stating and restating or reworking of the problem is what helps us actually get to know it better and to digest it and to see the deeper threads. And that's really where so much of the solutions lie. Okay, you're going to do the next thing with what's not working. Now, this is the stuff that this is the easy part, right? This is the stuff that's like trying to jump out of your head and onto your tablet or onto your paper. And for those of you who are more infographic oriented and like icons, like draw it out. You don't have to just use words. Make this alive for you. Right now I have underperformance with one of my team members, and so I could state the problem. How do I, what do I do about the projects that this team member's working on, and how do I make sure that they get done the right way? And so then with what's working is I know what the project is, et cetera. What's not working might be, boy, this person is chronically underperformed. I've tried to help turn it around, and da 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 da. And this is where I get to it's kind of like this barfy moment where you get to spill all your beans. And I got to tell you, especially if the problem's keeping you up at night, this is what really helps. Just get it out, get it down. And can you name this specifically? Can you as much in here as you can get specific, the more you're going to find the gems are in there. The answers are found within well-stated problems, right? Well-stated questions. What is not working? Get in there, get specific. So if I take this underperforming team member's role, I could get really specific at where she's not performing. And then I might actually in that see like, oh, she's actually doing all right in these other areas. So then I can add more over onto the what is working side. And that's often what happens is we're in one area and then we get these ideas of like, oh, actually that points a bit about what's working. And then that'll go back and you'll see actually, but these other little parts of this aren't working and she's not recording what she's doing. And so it's hard for anyone else to pick up the ball if she drops it. So then I get another level of insight, etc. And those are the first two. All right, the next thing is what is or are the biggest challenges regarding the problem. So for instance, with this team member, some of the bigger challenges are that she's been with us for a long time, that she, I feel a certain sense of loyalty to her and she to the organization. Like these are some big challenges because I don't really know what to do. I don't know how do I improve the performance when I've tried this, this, and this. All of these can be part now of stating the challenge. And what'll happen is as you do this with me, and again, press pause between these questions. So if you haven't done what is working, pause. What is not working, pause. Stop now and do that. And then this part will make more sense. Okay, now that you're back, given what's working, what's not working, what are the biggest challenges that you now see? Well, given my example with my underperforming team player, what I can see is actually like one of the bigger challenges is how I manage work instructions. That could be that if I'm not making sure that that's actually tied to her performance evaluation, then like, ooh, then it comes back to me. It's less on her. It's now back to me. So maybe the bigger challenges there are that I don't have the time to check work instructions as part of performance reviews. Like, that's a big challenge, right? Like, wow, if I don't solve that, I don't see how some of this other stuff could get solved. And that's what you're looking for, because often there's the thing behind the thing behind the thing. And you're really trying to dig deep. So if this is the earth, you're trying to like go to these different levels of depth, right? And here's like your plant growing above the surface. You're trying to get to the root of the challenge. And the way you do that is honestly, you're kind of like seeing it through all the different angles of what's working, what's not working, digging for that deeper challenge, the bigger challenges. And as you write them out, what you might notice is like, oh, wow, this one is tied to this one. And when I restate this, it actually becomes this elegant challenge. And I can see that like, wow, this is actually the challenge. And that's a digestive process. You're digesting it by asking the questions. Then the last question, so if you haven't done that, press pause, then come back, and we'll go to number 4. In this process, I often take, you can sit with something like this for a good 20 minutes, hour, if you're doing it with a team, 2 hours, sometimes 3 hours, and it just helps to chip away because again, you don't want to solve on the superficial level. And that's often what we do is we see this level here of what's not working and we just start to chip away at this one, and then we chip away at this one and this one and this one, right? What we actually might not even be here yet. We might not have any idea of what the biggest challenges are, so we might be chipping away at the wrong thing. All right. Now, the last question is why? Why isn't it working? So given my example again that I gave with underperforming team member, why isn't it working? A, not enough accountability. B, not enough warning, not tying behavior to rewards or consequences, maybe not transparency in the process. There might be all of these things now that I realize that, like, oh, okay, that's not working, that's not working. Maybe it's I'm her team leader and I'm not necessarily suited to that role with this person. And this is where it's really great to look at, like, oh, okay, now I have a much better sense of, and you're just going to, again, kind of barf it out. And in the barfing it out, you're going to get a much, much better sense. I can't tell you how much this takes this stuff off your mind, right? Because all these things are kind of swimming in the conscious and subconscious of waking up in the middle of the night, or you go exercise and it's like the problem that's right there, or you're thinking about it when you're eating with your family and it's the last thing you want to be thinking about when you're eating with your family. And this gives you a place to say, like, okay, I'm going to go process the problem. And I'm going to process it through getting much more clear on how to state the problem. All right, so once you've gone through why isn't working, the same thing's going to happen where you're going to have certain little things that are just going to, like, really, like, pop out. And then you're probably going to find a few things that you need to then marry. And then once you've married them, you can probably accurately write a sentence about why isn't it working. At this point, you are actually ready to state the problem. And based on everything that you've written down, right, you now have a sense of what is actually the problem that you're dealing with. And what I love about this design thinking process is that it's so different than what you thought the problem was initially. So if you go back to what you initially stated the problem as, or the challenge as, just notice how much it's been digested or transformed since you just did that 20 minutes ago, or however long it's taken. And you want to create an elegant sentence. And by elegant, I mean uncomplicated. I mean streamlined. I mean something that is completely resonant but doesn't have extra words, and it doesn't have any unresonant words, but it has exactly the words that it needs to have. So take a moment now, press pause, and see if you can create an elegant sentence that accurately states the problem. And once you've done that, come on back. Okay, so now that you have that elegant sentence, what I want you to do is take that elegant sentence and can you make it into a question? So what is the question to ask? And this question will then, again, it's usually made basically what you wrote, but now it's in a question form. So in my example here, my elegant sentence is, we need to build infrastructure and leadership next quarter for X team member to perform or be dismissed. Because right now we don't have that infrastructure or that leadership. That's what we discovered, right? That we don't have the work instructions, we don't have the performance review process, et cetera, for this to happen. So if I can turn that into a question to ask, what infrastructure and leadership are we building next quarter for X team member to perform or be dismissed? And what you'll see in this question then is that there's so much in it that's actually specific due to the nature of asking the question well. There's so much in here that's actually generative, meaning that it's going to generate ideas. It's going to help my little idea light go off. It's also, I want you to notice too, it's also systems oriented. Because obviously, if I do this, if I build the infrastructure and leadership for this person, it's actually going to build it for the whole organization, for people to perform and for people to be dismissed when not performing. So I hope this is helpful, and I just want to show you over here, like this is, you want to state the problem, you want to have your elegant sentence, and that'll naturally be a question to ask. It'll naturally, here's the brain, it'll naturally generate these ideas, and it'll naturally end up being specific, generative, and systems oriented in the solution. All right, that's how you're going to state the problem. And again, you want to do this when something's not working. Okay, so we stop being afraid of things not working. We start to expect things not to work, and that the iterative process is naturally going to generate. Once I work on this, guess what? More isn't going to work, but I'm not going to be nearly in the same place. I'm going to have other questions that I want to then work through this question grid. Get to it, and let me know how it goes.